Hi everyone, today I'm going to start a new lecture series which would be based upon the legal current affairs, starting with the very recent constitution amendment that was termed as Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, and it is related to the reservation which has been provided to women, which amounts to 33% in the different legislative assemblies at the state level and the union at the parliament at the union level. Constitution 128th Amendment Bill 2023 was introduced recently in the new Parliament building during the special session of the government, which was held in September. So after that it was passed from the Lok Sabha with two-third majority, and from the Rajya Sabha as well. It received the assent of the President and resulted in Constitution 106th Amendment Act 2023. Starting with the reasons and the objects for this amendment. We have completed 75 years of independence, and now the nation has begun its journey towards completion of 100 years of independence, which has been termed as Amrit Kal. And the goal behind this Amrit Kal has been set up as Viksit Bharat. Now this Viksit Bharat has been taken up as the goal with the spirit of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas. So under this this amendment, under this goal, this amendment has been introduced, or this bill was introduced by the government, which was in relation to providing reservation of seats to the women in the legislative assemblies. Say, legislature is the topmost organ dealing with the formation and framing of different laws, rules, regulations. Considering the population of India, in which among 50% of the population comprises of women, but the situation was that not even 30% of the seats were reserved or were occupied by the women legislators in the different legislative assemblies. So there was a need, a requirement was felt that a particular number must be reserved specifically for women who can actually bring a very substantive and drastic change in the process of formation of laws. Further, one of the objects and the reason which we can consider for this amendment is Nari Shakti, women empowerment, which has been promoted by this government from time to time by different governments through various schemes like Ujjwala Yojana, Swachh Bharat Mission, Mudra Yojana, and different schemes which have been introduced for the development and empowerment of women in different fields. According to Inter-Parliamentary Union, so this was a data which was brought up by Inter-Parliamentary Union, which actually ranked India at 148th position out of 193 countries in terms of women's representation in the legislature. So there is a very huge gap and a very huge difference in the number of women legislators in proportion with the population of women in India. Hence, the requirement for this amendment was felt and it was brought. There has been gradual increase. No doubt, India has made a progress in the number of female MPs from time to time. Like in the first Lok Sabha session, which comprised of mere 5% of women, now the current Lok Sabha, the 17th Lok Sabha, it comprises of around 15%, 14 point some percentage was there. So approximately 15% women MPs are there in the current Lok Sabha. That is 82 MPs out of 543 seats which have been filled during the 17th Lok Sabha session. Hence, a very big reason, or a very big, it acted as a catalyst. These different reasons, they acted as a catalyst for the bringing of this amendment, or bringing of this bill. See, here I have discussed all the important provisions which have been introduced, which have been inserted or amended by the Amendment Act, 106th Amendment Act. Starting with the articles which have been inserted. So first one is Article 330 capital A, which provides for reservation of seats for women in the House of People. Here the seats shall be reserved for women in the House of People. The number of seats, that is 1/3 of total number of seats reserved for scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, shall be reserved for women. First point. And second, 1/3 of total number of seats shall be filled by direct election to the House of People. They shall also be reserved for women. So it provides for two kinds of reservations. One is amongst the SC/ST seats, that is out of the seats which have been provided for them, the reservation which have been given to them, and apart from that, all over, that is out of 545 seats, the total number of seats which Lok Sabha comprises of, out of those, 1/3 of the total number of seats shall be filled by direct election. Have to keep in mind that reservation has been made in the House of People, specifically Article 330 capital A. Second article which has been inserted is Article 332 capital A, reservation of seats for women in the legislative assemblies of the states. So keep in mind, it is for House of People and legislative assemblies and not Rajya Sabha and legislative councils. So under Article 332 capital A, reservation has been made for women in legislative assembly of every state. So here legislative assembly includes every state, and apart from that, 2 union territories which have been for which legislative assemblies have been already framed. Even for that, reservation has been made and specific amendments have been made in those provisions, in those articles. Here it is specifically for every other state leaving the union territories. So 1/3 of the total number of seats reserved for SCs or STs shall be reserved for women belonging to SCs or STs. And secondly, the 1/3 of the total number of seats shall be filled by the direct election to the legislative assembly shall be reserved for women. Moving on with the third article which has been inserted is Article 334 capital A, reservation of seats for women to take effect. When this amendment or when this constitution amendment will come into force, it shall come into effect after an exercise of delimitation is undertaken for this purpose after relevant figures for the first census taken after commencement of this amendment. So the date of commencement of this amendment shall be specified by the central government, and after that, whenever the first census has been held and the delimitation process is completed, after that this amendment will come into effect. There is a period of 15 years which has been provided for the for this reservation, that is, it shall cease to have effect after an expiration of a period of 15 years from such commencement. A provision for rotation has also been made. Rotation of seats reserved for women shall take effect after each subsequent exercise of delimitation as Parliament may by law determine. Amendment shall not affect the reservation. Very important, it shall not affect the reservation in House of People, Legislative Assembly or Legislative Capital of Territory of Delhi. The existing amendment reservation shall not be affected by this amendment. Hence, coming to an end with this final conclusion, coming with the merits and the demerits. From now onwards, I will keep on bringing different points regarding the legal current affairs. There have been different amendments which have been introduced during the monsoon session of the Parliament, on which I will continue bringing the sessions. Short sessions of around 10 to 15 minutes would be sufficient, and they will provide you material for preliminary as well as for the mains point of view for the examination. Thank you.